So here we've been asked to write down the values of the first three terms. That's easy enough. So only do uh, okay, when you're told to write down, obviously they don't do any working out there. So you get a mark for just the answer alone. So it's it goes against um, what we've been taught about math, or what we've been told rather about math, that it's not so important. The answer is not so important, but the steps is what we're interested in the most. But in this case, you've been told to write down the answer. I think they also they have given you the mark allocation as well. If you're in our WhatsApp group, I've shared the questions. They have the mark allocation there, so you just need to check the mark allocation as well to get an idea of what's expected of you, how much work is expected of you in work in in answering the question. So here we've been told to write down. So I'm just gonna substitute for for those of us who may not understand what this stuff is all about. All we do here, you do this. Well, you should do this mentally, but okay, let's just do it. So we start with the two there because, as you can tell, it starts at two there. So you start from two. K is equal to two, so you start from two. This is where we're substituting. So anything squared will be positive. 3 squared, that's a 9, so that's our first term, plus minus 3. And mind you, we're going up to 13, but for this question, we're not going to go to 13. But the maximum value of n for this particular series is 13. So okay, that's 3. So we know that 3 cubed is 27, but in this case, negative times negative, that gives us a negative, plus lastly, 4, that's 81, positive 81, right? Because when you raise a sign to an even exponent, it'll always be positive, right? And then our next question asks us to, let's see, write down the value of the constant ratio. The value of the constant ratio. So okay, let's just write our first three terms neatly there. So our first three terms for that particular series are, and that is our final answer for that question. And then 2.1.2. Okay, let me just check if my numbering corresponds, because that's super important when you're answering questions, exam questions. Write down the value of the constant ratio. Okay, that's easy enough. The constant ratio, you know how to get your constant ratio, grade 12s. You should know that by now. Term 3, I'm just going to work some of these things out, even though it's at your level, it's really unnecessary. But for some of you who may have missed some of these skills from earlier grades, I'm just going to write, let's just do them. Term 3 over term 2, that gives us our constant ratio. That's negative 3, right? And then we'll try again with term 2 over term 1. All we're doing here is just to confirm if this answer is correct, but we already have the answer, it's negative 3. But just for to confirm if indeed we do get the same answer for all of them. Term 2 over term 1, that's negative 27 over 9. That gives us a negative 3. So our ratio, our constant ratio, is nothing but a negative 3, because you can see that when you multiply negative 9, sorry, when you multiply positive 9 by negative 3, you get a negative 27. When you multiply negative 27 by negative 3, you get a positive 81. So our R is indeed -3, right? And that's our final answer for that question. And then the next question says, will that series converge? Explain your answer for 2 marks. Okay. How do we determine if the series converges? Remember, there's a formula for that. We simply use, it should be given in your formula sheet. Normally it is given in your formula sheet. So you just check for this formula in your formula sheet. If our R lies between those two extreme values, then we can conclude that the series does indeed converge. Now, if you compare our R with the that stuff that's going on there, you can tell that the R, it lies outside of this of that interval, right? It lies outside of, so our R is actually less than -1 because it's -3. So this is how you answer the question. Since R -3, the series diverges. So if it doesn't converge, it diverges, right? And that's our final answer for that question. No, since R is close to the series diverges, just to go